So I want to walk through. I made a post yesterday, I guess it was, about two systems, two automations that I think every business, every entrepreneur should have set up. And so I just kind of want to walk through what those are, what that looks like. I've had several questions, comments about the post, and so I just want to take a few minutes and really walk through what they look like and how you can implement them in your business. Now, I will say that these two automations, they're not software dependent, meaning that you can set these up in whatever platform you're using. Personally, I use Fractal CRM, which is my own personal white label of high level. It's got my team support. It's got my pre-built kind of automations and workflows and things like that. Fractal-crm.com if you want to check it out. But you can use ClickFunnels, ActiveCampaign, so it's not software dependent, which is nice. This is strategy, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip over to my iPad and we will dive in. Let me make sure. Okay, cool. Let me make sure that it's... Okay, there we go. So first, before we get to the two specific automations, and these two, they work kind of in tandem, but they will help you close more deals, generate more clients with less effort. All right. But before we dive in, let me just kind of back up, kind of high level, if you will, or very basic. What is an automation? What does that look like? And, believe it or not, we use automations every day throughout our life. But a simple way to think of an automation is we have a trigger. And we have an action. So essentially it says, if this trigger occurs, then do this action. All right. So very simple automation happens for probably most of us most mornings. If your clock or phone hits this time, then make a loud beeping noise, right? I mean, that's our alarm. So if this trigger, then do this. Now, something like an alarm, that's a very simple trigger. Something like if someone books a call, then send me a text notification, right? Those are very kind of simple automations, but you set them up once. The great thing with automations that I really love is they are... it uses leverage. So leverage is basically when you're able to get an outsized return for a specific amount of work or effort. Okay, that's how I define leverage. Outsized return for a specific amount of work or effort. So something like setting up an automation, it takes a little bit of work, a little bit of effort on the front end, but then as long as it's set up correctly and you have it turned on, right, like you get an outsized return. Every time that trigger occurs, that action will be the result, right? And so you set it up at the front end, or you set it up once, and then it just runs until you turn it off or it hits an error or something like that. All right, so in very simple terms, if trigger, then do this action. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Again, I think that part is pretty straightforward. Now, where the complexity comes in is when you have much more sophisticated workflows and automations where you have embedded ifs. So if this trigger occurs, then do this action, but only do this action if these criteria are met. And then again, I've got some workflows that are, 40, 50, 60 steps long, but the principle of what an automation remains the same. If this trigger occurs, then do this action. All right. Now, from a high level, all right, anytime I'm setting up an automation, I like to walk through these 3 steps. And this is really my 3-part framework for implementing the headache-free smart scaling system in any business. But quite simply, the 3 phases I recommend. First, design. All right, it really helps to actually draw out the automation you want before you just dive in and start building, right? It's no different if you, for instance, maybe you build websites and stuff. I know I'm guilty because I am the type of person who I just like to dive in, right? I just jump right in. I'll build a parachute on my way down. Forget manuals, forget instructions. Like I jump in and do it. And so for me, this is probably one of the parts that I have to be very intentional about. But I'm telling you, if you will spend a little bit of time on the front end actually drawing it out, not just in your head, but map it out on paper, on an iPad, on, Figma, on Canva, on anything, a whiteboard, like you want to design it. You want to make sure that you think through, okay, what's the trigger? What are the actions? What are the softwares? What is it going to look like? Because if you use something like Fractal CRM, it's certainly easier in the sense that like Fractal CRM literally runs like, I don't know, 80% of my business, right? It's an all-in-one. It's easy to use. But if you are using like ClickFunnels to ActiveCampaign to Calendly, then you definitely want to draw it out because you're using multiple softwares. You're going to have to have multiple integrations, and you want to just make sure you have everything set up correctly, and you're not, because again, the great thing with automations is once you set it up correctly, it runs and will produce an outsized return. The downside with automations that you really have to be careful about is if you don't set it up correctly, it's still going to run automatically, but it's not going to produce the desired result. So you definitely want to make sure, spend some time, really map it out, design it. All right. Second thing we're going to do is we're then going to create it, install it, depending on kind of what you're looking at, but create it, install it. Right. We want to actually, now that we've designed it, we want to go and build it, right? So this is create, design, build, however you want to word that. Same thing, right? First we're going to design it, then we're actually going to implement it. And then the third thing we want to do after any automation is we want to test it, right? If you've seen my diagrams of my 3-step process and stuff, I actually call it unleash. But essentially that means test it, turn it on, scale it. So those are, in a broad sense or high level sense, kind of the 3 phases you want to go through if you're working with any automation, any system, things like that. Okay. And certainly let me know if you have any questions here. All right, let's get to now the two automations, again, that I highly recommend. Now, this is from a sales and marketing perspective. Let me actually come back up here. So 3 key areas that we help clients implement systems and automations. Not keys area. Let me just remove that. And I kind of touched on this, but 3 key areas that we help our clients really implement these systems and automations, processes, things like that. Sales and marketing. So getting leads, converting them into clients. And that's what these 2 automations I'm going to show you here in a second do. Then you have delivery / service. So there's definitely things that you can do to set up automations and systems and processes and things when it comes to fulfillment, when it comes to delivery, when it comes to actually providing your service. And then the third key area that we help clients with is operations and finances. So, and if you're wondering like, oh, well, what automations and finances, what do you mean? Well, you can set things up so that, for instance, like if a payment is doesn't go through, if a credit card is expired or declined, if like you can set things up so that if somebody if somebody tries to use a credit card multiple times, you can set it up so that it from certain countries, you can set it up so it declines it or makes them answer a security question type thing. So those are the three key areas. The one that this video is really going to focus on, sales and marketing, and I'm going to kind of walk you through what that looks like. Oh, what did I do? Okay, let's zoom back in here. I don't even know what. Good enough. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about is the lead nurture sequence. All right. Just highlight that yellow. So typically with your business, a lot of times you'll have a lead magnet, you'll have something you're giving away. And so whether that's like a funnel page, a website, right? Whether that is a Facebook Messenger, whether that is whatever it is, you've an ad, what have you, you've got a way to capture the lead. The question is then, when somebody wants your thing, your offer, your lead, what are you doing with them? A lot of times, what I'll see is somebody will essentially just send, that's an email. I know, I've got the worst, they'll send an email and it'll be like, hey, here's the thing you requested. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, and that's all they do. Maybe they have a second email, but it's not an extensive follow-up sequence. Okay, what the lead nurture sequence does is it's specifically designed to turn leads into booking calls, essentially. So this is more of like if they have to complete an application or, but it's a way to, it's a series of messages that wants them to take the next step in however you've mapped out the client journey. Okay, now a couple things to keep in mind, and well, actually, I'll kind of map it out, and then I'll tell you some of the less than stellar things that some people do with it. I don't know, maybe that didn't make sense, but I'll explain it. So what you want to map out is what is going to be that sequence that's going to want somebody to make or take the next step, okay? Now, this series of emails, texts, things like that, the goal, I really cannot draw. The goal for all of these is to sell the next step. Okay? You're not trying to sell your full-blown program, your full-blown service with this lead nurture sequence. You're trying to sell the next step. What is that next thing that you want them to do? Now, yes, using some testimonials, using some things like that will encourage them to take the next step. But the goal here isn't to sell the entire thing. It's to literally focus and get them just to take the next step. Okay. And so you may be wondering, well, what does that look like? It depends. All right. In the next sequence, I'll talk about it's much more streamlined, much more, same across a lot of different clients, things like that. The reason I say it depends for the lead nurture sequence is one thing you have to consider is the leads, we call it the sophistication level. All right. So you're not going to use the exact same lead nurture sequence for every funnel, for every etc. Why? Because different funnels are set up for different leads based on their sophistication level. And I'm not talking about like how smart they are, not that level, like sophistication level, but where are they on their journey? Okay, here's what I mean by that. If your lead magnet is like geared for, let's say, a brand new entrepreneur, okay, your lead nurture sequence needs to be very simple, right? You're not going to use big words. You're going to explain it to them very clearly, right? At a very basic level. Just trying to see. Thought I had something on my whiteboard or on the pegboard up there, but okay. No matter. So if somebody is coming in and they're just, starting out, or they don't know all the the language of your industry and the stuff you do and all, this wants to be a very simple lead nurture, and you want to use, keep it very easy to understand, but your goal is still for them to take the next step. All right. So if you're using like testimonials, right, you want to use a testimonial that represents or is of somebody who's at that basic level. Now, if your lead magnet is like, access my 3-step framework for building a 7-figure sales team, they're going to be a lot more sophisticated than like, what's a lead magnet, right? If somebody's trying to build a sales team, obviously they've been in the game longer. They've got a proven offer, a business. They are, they're a little bit further along in their journey, right? So your lead nurture sequence wants to be about, if you use testimonials of people building sales teams and what that's done for them and things like that. Okay. So here, you need to look at the lead sophistication level, the thing you're giving away, the lead magnet, what have you, right? Is it for newbies? Is it for experienced entrepreneurs? Where is it? And then you want to have a series of emails, texts, things like that. But again, you're not necessarily trying to sell them on your entire product or service. You're trying to just sell them and get them to take the next step, whether that's scheduling a call, whether that is, coming into your office, whether that, like, whatever that next step is, joining your community, what have you. Like, you want to sell that next step. Now, I typically like a 7, 11, or 17 day follow-up. follow-up sequence. And again, it just kind of depends on sophistication level, what that next step is, all that. Now you may be wondering, well, how do I get, like, how do I set up, 7 days or 11 days or 17 days worth of follow-up? So let's say you give away lead magnet, and in your lead magnet, right, so you give away lead magnet, and let's say your lead magnet focuses on like 3 things. Right, 1, 2, 3. Your email sequence, email 1 can be actually delivering. And this is just an example. Again, especially on this part, kind of every business is different. Your prospects are different, but email 2, tell a story about step 1. Next email, if you have a testimonial, especially if it's specific to like step 1 or part 1 of whatever the lead magnet is. All right. Then the next one, go into more detail and tell a story. And each one of these has a CTA for the next step. Right? Tell a story about step 2. Testimonial or, statistics, numbers, something like that, but that supports, right, step 2. You can even use little nuances like you tell the story and then, man, imagine what it'll be like when XYZ. Listen, if you're at all interested in this, click the link, schedule a call, and we'll dive in. So again, you're not selling the, necessarily the big picture. You're really, the call to action is you're trying to just get them to take the next step, right? On this call, man, imagine having spending 30 minutes on a call and walking away with absolute clarity on your offer, on clarity on, what your next Facebook ad should look like, on clarity on, again, you're not selling the whole program. You're selling them, here's why you should hop on this call. Here's what you're going to, here's why you need to take that next step. And then you want to talk about inaction here, right? So one of these emails can even talk about inaction, about what happens if they don't take that next step. Again, you're not selling like, building an entire sales team. You're just talking about, hey, if you don't schedule this call, here's what you're going to remain in the same place. You're going to, face the same challenges. All right. So now you need to figure out what works for you. Again, I don't know why I like 7, 11, and 17 kind of day follow-ups. I think partly because it typically takes 7 to 11 touch points. You hear that a lot. They may take action on, the first email. They may take action before they get the first email. But those are kind of, they're good links to where you can really kind of connect with somebody, especially if it's like cold traffic, something like that. You can connect, you can share your story, things like that, but you're not, it's not so long that it's, not that you're becoming like a nuisance, but because then I recommend you put them in your, like if you send out, called a daily Seinfeld email, but if you send out like regular, more just email blasts that are in real time, then after they go through this follow-up sequence, then you just add them to that campaign. Okay. Other thing that while you're setting these up that you should keep in mind is when they take that next step. So you've got the call to actions. When they actually take that next step, then I recommend actually stopping this sequence, this automation. right? If you're going through and you're trying to sell them on booking a call and they book a call, it doesn't make sense for 3 days later for them to get an email saying, hey, you should really book a call, right? Oh, one minor thing, and this is just a pet peeve of mine, and I won't name names, but I got, I think, 2 or 3 emails already today. It's like 9:50, and I've already gotten 2 or 3 emails where most likely they changed email, like email autoresponders, but the email begins with either like first name. So that's why you want to test it. You know, that, I mean, most people assume these emails are automated anyways, but if you're trying to make that personal connection and get them to take that next step, I mean, spend a couple seconds to just make sure that the variable is labeled correctly, and so it's actually their first name and not the, first name. Again, I got like 3 this morning already. It's minor, but it's just, you're trying to build, you're trying to build confidence in the lead, right? That you know what you're doing, that you can help them achieve their goals, their desired end result. And just things like this, like you start putting little kinks in their confidence level in you. All right, so that is the first one. Again, lead nurture sequence. It's a series of emails and texts selling them on taking that next step. Depending on what your lead magnet is, depending on what their sophistication level is, those are kind of a little more individualized or customized. Again, you want to spend some time, you want to set it up once, but that is a little bit more time consuming, just simply because of the fact that it's not like, if somebody's at the very beginning of their journey, you're not going to start talking about, lead magnets and sales teams and, helping somebody go from 7 to 8 figures, things like that. Your stories, your things want to be about starting out as somebody who's at their, kind of in their shoes. And so you really need to kind of individualize that. And also your delivery and is it a call to action? Is it schedule a call? Is it completing an application? Is it joining a community, a Facebook group, something like that? Obviously, if that next step is a bigger step, then you'll probably need, a longer sequence, a little more warming them up, a little more, explaining why they need to take that next step and all. All right, so that is one of them. The second automation I recommend, I call it an indoctrination sequence. Now, ironically, I guess like 4, maybe even 5 years ago now, I actually ran a couple challenges, workshop kind of things. Either way before even challenges and workshops were kind of popular and a thing. But on setting up your indoctrination sequence and everything. It's kind of funny. So what's an indoctrination sequence? Once again, it's a series of emails and texts. And this one specifically really works when somebody schedules a call. You could do it when they apply, but most likely if they're filling out an application, then it's going to like a call. And so I like this one to be set up for after. Man, I should have been a doctor. Look at my handwriting. Whew. For after the call is booked. By the way, if you're enjoying this, if you're getting value from it, give me a like, give me a comment. Let me know. It does appreciate it, and it also helps boost the algorithm so more people will see it, be notified about it. Also, if you want help having these systems, these processes, these automations installed in your business, you can go to scalewithmichael.com, schedule a free consultation. Now that I think about it, you're only supposed to really do one, like CTA in a video and stuff. I did record a short, it's about a 10-minute video though, that really dives into in more depth my framework and everything, and that's at scaleautomatically.com. But anyways, let's get back to it. So indoctrination sequence. So typically after a call is booked, this is a series of, again, emails, texts, things like that. Now this one is going to be more condensed, meaning it's not a 7-day, it's not 11-day, because typically if you're having somebody schedule a call, it's, a few hours away to a few days away, no more than typically like a week out. Whole nother reason for why you don't want, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in advance. I usually keep it less than 7-10 days. But anyways, so indoctrination sequence. In this series of emails, things like that, the goal of this automation of these emails and texts is to pre-frame your product or service and start overcoming potential objections. Okay. Here is what I mean by that. The main like questions people have when it comes to purchasing decisions, right? What is it? Meaning, what's the benefit? And I don't know why all of a sudden I started writing at such an angle. Let me just fix that. That's so weird. Okay. So, the main questions people have, right? What is it? Does it work? Will it actually work for me? All right. Those are the 3 questions that we want to answer in this indoctrination sequence. Now, these are not set up like one a day. This is like they schedule a call, you send them the call confirmation, then 15, 30, 45 minutes later, you hit them with the first email. 3, 4 hours, 5 hours later, you hit them with the second email. Because you want to get these out and in their hands for them to see prior to hopping on the call. Okay. If you're using something like Calendly, or all you have set up is, hey, thanks for, the automatic, your call is scheduled for this time and this date. 1 hour before, your call is in 1 hour. 15 minutes before, your call is in 15 minutes. This will make a huge difference on your show up rates, right? If people aren't showing up to the call, you're not getting them excited enough and giving them a reason enough to make it important enough to show up on the call. All right? Because if somebody is excited about something, if somebody truly sees the value in it, they're going to show up on the call, right? They're going to have this, they're not going to be able to show up. So if all you have is just your calls and 15-minute reminders, my guess is you probably have a fairly high no show up rate. All right? If you're getting on the call and you are having to spend hours in answering objection after objection after objection, this is going to help because it's going to indoctrinate them. It's going to pre-sell them so that when they show up on the call, they're not only excited, but they have a good understanding of your framework, your process, your service, who has it helped, other people it's helped, how it can help them, right? So you've answered kind of all the big main questions. And so that's why it's called indoctrination, right? You're indoctrinating them to your framework, your way of thinking, your philosophy. Like, what is it that you need to convey to this prospect to align them to, if you help them with a new identity, right? Like, so one of these messages is, throwing rocks at the things they've tried that hasn't worked in the past, right? Again, we want to start shifting their belief prior to even getting on a call with you. And again, if you're just using the, like Calendly or something like that, their default notifications, this will make a big difference in your show up rate, in your conversion rate. So I highly recommend it. And, if you use something like Fractal CRM, then this is super easy to set up. And actually, if you join one of my programs, either the Done For You or Done With You, then you get 6 months of Fractal CRM and you get all this into your account. So, but yeah, with this one, again, it's because it's a shorter time frame, we really want to hit them hard. And again, here we are selling more of the identity and the belief than anything else. So up here, it's more explaining, it's more, selling on that next action step. Yeah, you're doing some kind of identity and stuff like that, but like up here, it's really more about connecting with them, kind of starting to build just that initial relationship, explaining why they need to take that next step. Once they fill out the application or schedule a call, I mean, it's like game on. All right. I got to get them to shift their belief, to buy into the thing I'm actually delivering, right? I need to indoctrinate them, hence the name of why I call it the indoctrination sequence. So again, typically this will, be a series of emails, and you can even do like short videos embedded in the emails and things like that. But again, the whole point is, one, to further connect, but two, here in these series of emails, the goal is to actually start shifting belief, right? And answer these 3 core questions. Like, what is it specifically that you do and you help them with, right? Because a lot of times, yes, your lead magnet will tie into your product or service or the actual delivery, but it's usually only a piece of it, right? Here, we want to make sure it is very clear. Like, thanks for booking a call. Here's what I do. Here are the people I've helped. Here's how it can help you. Here's the 3-step process we put clients through. Testimonial email, right? Does it work? Absolutely. Look, it's worked for this person. Here's the results they got. Right now, you may be thinking, and all these are separate, obviously separate communications, but I'm just kind of talking through what they look like. Now you may be wondering, great, this works, but will it work for you? And here's where you start doing the push-pull, right? Push-pull. And so what that means is like, will it work for you? Listen, if you are ... yes, I'm 100% confident this will work for you. So, if you are an online entrepreneur with this is just an example, but you have a 1,000-person email list, you have a 100-person Facebook group, what have you, and you have a proven offer and or if you are if you're able to commit to 30 minutes of exercise a day, this will work. We have a unique system, high intensity, I don't know, whatever, right? But like you're starting to shift, like, here's the reason going to the gym doesn't work. Here's the reason why this process will work. And so if you meet these criteria, I'm 100% confident that it will work for you, right? And just address it. Like, those are the people, those are the big concerns, right? Like, what is it? What is it specifically? Now, you don't need to get into like, it's, it's 7 modules and 35 videos and No, but what is it? Cool. So it's a hybrid program with a membership area, a community, and weekly coaching calls, weekly audit calls, whatever, so that you can right? Imagine what it'll be like when you have a library of videos that you can reference at any time. You have a community of fellow entrepreneurs who are in the same stage of business, facing the same challenges as you, and you have the weekly call support and unlimited Slack support or whatever, right? Like, you're painting the picture, you're building the belief. Again, up here, it's less about the actual belief, and you're selling the next step. Down here is all about indoctrinating them to your way of thinking, your unique mechanism, and answering these 3 kind of core questions that prevents people from moving forward. So, if you are going to set up, I recommend obviously more automations and processes, and making sure you've got tags set up correctly, internal notifications set up correctly. You've got failed payment notifications set up. I mean, there's a whole slew of things that obviously you should set up in your business. But if you're looking for two automations that you could dive right in and set up this weekend, for instance, then I would definitely spend some time focusing on the lead nurture sequence and the indoctrination sequence. They will have the biggest bang, the quickest result, if you will, when it comes to converting leads or generating leads, converting leads to clients. So, what did you think? Did you like that? Can we give it a little applause? Oh, I don't have my headphones in, but I assume it made the applause noise. I love eCam. Cool. So, if you are a parentpreneur, a parent entrepreneur, an entrepreneur with family and kids, coach or consultant, you've got an online business, ideally you have a proven offer, so you've made some sales, you're generating some revenue, but you're trading time for dollars. You're working 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hour weeks. You want to streamline your business. You want to simplify your business. You want to automate a large portion of your business so you can focus on serving clients, so you can focus on spending and making memories with your family and loved ones. Or if you just need some much needed rest, right? Let me know. I would love to hop on a call, dive into your business. Let's identify where places that we can streamline, automate, systematize, etc. And then from there, we have a done for you program where we will go in, build all this out, set it all up within typically 7 to 10 days, test it, launch it, etc. Or I am about to launch a done with you program. First group will be the initial beta group. I'll provide more details here. You'll see a post and some stuff here pretty soon about that. But we will go through, and especially for this initial group, each week we are going to be breaking down and building out the automations in these different areas of your business. So again, done with you. I'll give you templates, like we'll walk through what you should do here, 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 and here. And then you just actually take it and go and build it yourself. So done for you, and then soon to be released, launching done with you. And again, if you get in on the beta group, the first kind of initial group here on the done with you, you get tons of benefits. Obviously, a little bit lower investment on the front end, way more access to me and we're going to be walking through it, week by week, and making sure that by the end of the program, everything is set up correctly, built out, streamlined, automated, etc. All right? I call it the headache-free smart scaling system. Headache-free meaning less worry, less confusion, less craziness, right? No more broken tech, broken software, broken stuff. So headache-free, it works, it's set up. And then smart, because we want to actually systematically go through, right? We want to be smart about this. And then scaling system. So I hope that all makes sense. Again, let me know if you'd like more information. Have a wonderful rest of the day, rest of the week, and I will talk to you guys again very soon. Later, guys.